Hello, we're back at it again. Let me try to fix it. We're back at it again with Crescent City, as we all like. We're still reading it. We finished part 1, and that was called The Hollow. And part 1 is really sad at the end, but we have high hopes for the rest of the book. Part 2. Well, this is chapters 8. Let me make sure. 8 to 10. Yeah. Yes, chapters 8 through 10, so 3 chapters that we're going to talk about. And we're starting on part 2 of Crescent City, and it's called The Trench. And I don't know why it's the hollow, now the trench. I hope we figure out why the ports are like that. But in the beginning of beginning of chapter 8, it says it's 22 months later after Danica and the devils, the whole group died. The hellhounds died. A whole pack of devils. No, it's pack of devils. Sometimes I forget things, but it happens. And so yes, it's 22 months later, and you meet her. She is in the club, the White Raven. I try to be prepared. But yes, the White Raven, that's where you find Bryce again. And you think she's in a party girl era again, but she actually is not. Later on in the chapter, she makes it to where everybody thinks that she's still drinking and doing drugs and everything, but she's actually been sober since we last seen her, when going through the tragedy of all her friends and her being really messed up to not even functioning all the messages and everything. It's really sad, but she makes people think that she's a party girl, that she does all the drugs and drinking, but she's actually not. She's actually been sober for almost 2 years. But yeah, she is doing business with her work, and she's meeting up with a client, and the client's name is Maximus, and he is a vampire. And later on, we'll definitely talk about him in this book, in this part. I'm going chapter by chapter because he means he's a part of this. Like, it's not a coincidence that I'm bringing up his name. But yes, he meets Maximus, and his dad is like the leader of the vampires, and he's a rich boy, thinking that everybody owes him. Yeah, so he tries to get with Bryce, and she's like, no, we already did business. I'm gonna leave. And her cousin, actually that everybody thinks is her cousin, but it's actually her stepbrother, comes, ruin, and make sure she's fine, and he watches her home, and she's actually, you find out that she has this nice apartment, way nicer than she can afford, and actually Danica left it for her. And I was like, that's really sweet. And yeah, like Danica left a really nice apartment for her where she's safe and everything. So that's really good. So that is the basically of chapter 8. And chapter 9, you actually is basically all Hunt. Hunt is in chapter 9, and you get to understand more of him and his past, with why all the angels is basically prisoners and slaves, in that he was pretty up in the war against everyone. Like, even though they fail and it wasn't on the favor, he has to hold every let me try to explain. Okay, so the 33 is a bunch of angels, the leagues, but they're basically slaves, because they went against the leaders years ago, thousands of years ago, and Hunt was not the leader, but he was basically the second in command after the leader. And so Micah, the head of the one he like controls everybody and the 33, he made a deal with Hunt to hopefully for him to be free, and he basically has to now kill people, bad people that Micah says he should, to because he killed in the war, him and everybody killed like 2,000 so people, so he has to kill as much people to win his freedom. It's hard to explain, but he's trying so hard, and so he hasn't really gotten that much, but he's trying to win his freedom before he dies, so at least he can be free in his old age. And so yeah, so you learn about that, and you learn the past. You learn that his ex-girlfriend died in the war, and she is basically called, her name's is basically she has a twin, and the names Shaw. So Shaw was his girlfriend, but she died in the war, and her name was basically Dave Stoll, and they went the rebellion against the fellow archangels, and her sister. It's basically twin against twin, and her sister is Sandra, and so Sandra makes basically chose Hunter, like, not Joe, but like, you're the reason why Sorrel is dead, and you helped with the rebellion, and you learn all this history about the war against the angels, and everything against it. I'm just rambling. But we can talk more about that. And Isaiah and Hunt are teaming up again to form a mission at the end of chapter 2. And that you find out about that. I mean, chapter 10. About at the end of chapter 9. And in the beginning of chapter 2, you figure out what they're doing. Like, Micah is telling them what to do. So, chapter 10 is basically a mix of Bryce's view and Hunt's view. And, yeah. So, she's at work, and Bryce and, Isaiah, if I say the word right, is coming to see her and tell her that somebody else has died, and it was Maximus. Maximus died right after Bryce met up with him to do the business and everything, and then he died, and she was like, no, it's not me. You can basically, like, I have proof of witnesses that I was never around him. Like, he tried to be with me afterwards, but nothing happened. And they like, we understand this. But by the end of chapter 10, you find out that Maximus died the same. But then you find out that Maximus died the same way that Danica and the pack of devils died, and nobody should know how they died because they didn't tell nobody. So it's not a like copycat killer. So now they're like, okay, so Philip Briggs didn't kill them, because how can he summon up a demon in jail because he's in jail? So like, who is the actual killer? And so by the end of chapter 10, there was basically meaning that Micah is gonna come, and that Danica, Hunt, and Eliza, and Jasmine, I'm pretty sure I had Jezebel is whole Bryce's boss, is gonna come and like talk about it. So that's the end of chapter 10. And so yeah, basically like some background information, and finding out that this killer is still out there almost 2 years afterwards, after the whole accident happened. So now we're just trying to figure out what's gonna happen. So I hope you guys enjoy my rambling, and definitely comment and talk about what you guys think is interesting, stuff that I left out. I'm really excited to see what happens. Alright, bye.